Hey there, welcome back to my channel. Does the Bible tell you so? Today's topic is abortion. Is abortion a sin? What does the Bible say about abortion? And I know this is a pretty delicate topic for a lot of people. I'm pretty comfortable talking about it, so I hope you won't take my familiarity as a form of callousness about the topic, okay? But I do want to talk about it pretty bluntly and honestly, okay? So here's the thing, folks. I have a hard time believing that the Bible is going to declare that abortion is a sin when there are 21 verses in the book of Numbers essentially delineating how you force your wife to have an abortion. Did you know that was in there? Yeah. So just sit with that for a minute. So the other thing I want to say, I want to look at part of that passage in Numbers chapter 5 with you, is when anyone turns to the Bible, whether it's the Hebrew Bible or the two primary Christian testaments, the Hebrew Bible and the Newer Testament, what is it that they're expecting that the Bible can speak to and does speak to? What is it a person expects it to be able to do? And when we're looking at both testaments of the Christian Bible, maybe not entirely, but 99% of the time, when we're talking about sex and the potential for women to have children, it is through the lens of men, and it is through the lens that says that men are allowed to control the bodies of the women they are married to, or their children, or whatever. And what is painfully striking to me about that is how that has not changed. Right? Men are still getting to say what women can and cannot do with their own bodies. So we already have a very biblical theme or idea very much alive and well in Western culture. The passage in Numbers chapter 5 that talks about forcing your woman to potentially have an abortion. I mean, did you know that? Okay. Numbers chapter 5, starting in verse 11. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, if any man's woman goes astray and is unfaithful to him," that's where we're starting. The premise is if she has stepped out on him, and the whole focus is on her, not on the relationship beforehand that maybe caused that to happen, right? That led to that, or not on nothing, just. And then it also says, if a spirit of jealousy comes on him and he is jealous of his woman who has defiled herself, or pay attention to this, or if a spirit of jealousy comes on him and he's jealous of his wife, though she has not defiled herself. Never mind the fact that the language here is saying that a woman is defiling herself with, never mind that. The whole premise here is about a man and his woman who potentially has had sex with someone other than him. And jealousy is the motivator. We are justifying that form of jealousy. The priest shall bring her near. He brings her to the temple and set her before the Lord. The priest shall take holy water in an earthen vessel and take some of the dust that's on the floor of the tabernacle and put it into the water. The priest shall set the woman for the Lord, dishevel the woman's hair, I guess, to represent, what it looks like in the midst of great sex. I don't know. Place in her hands the grain offering. In his own hand, the priest shall have the water of bitterness that brings the curse. I'd really encourage you to go read the whole chapter, the rest of this chapter. I don't have time to read it all. But the man, if no man, and then he turns to the woman and says, if no man has lain with you, if you have not turned aside to uncleanness while under your man's authority, be immune to this water of bitterness that brings the curse. Okay, magical talk. Also, this is sorcery, isn't it? Or witchcraft. Which one do you want to call it? What kind of dust is going to be on the floor of the tabernacle that could potentially lead a woman's uterus to drop or cause her to have an abortion, right? Is that black cohosh? Is that what it is that they just have randomly sitting on the floor of the tent? Are you all tracking with what's going on here? Okay, so So I can't help but think of Monty Python and the Holy Grail in that scene where they're, weighing a witch to see if she weighs as much as a duck. Anyway, right? So if you have gone astray, if you've defiled yourself, right? The Lord make you an execration and an oath among your people when the Lord makes your uterus drop, your womb discharge. Now, may this water that brings the curse enter your bowels and make your womb discharge, your uterus drop, and she shall say, Amen, amen. Okay, so the conversation about terminating an unplanned pregnancy is entirely different from this, right? This is the only thing that's said directly about a woman and something about what's going on in her uterus, and anything about terminating anything that might be growing in there. Back when I got to teach in-person intro courses to the Bible, I would sometimes do this near the end of the semester, and I'd write the second half of John 10:10 on the board, completely out of context, right? But without telling them where we're headed here, right? I just write, I've come that they may have life and have it to the fullest. And I'd ask students, undergrads, what does that mean? What does that look like for you? Full life. And they'll just, very easy, meaningful work, a life partner, children, a roof over my head, health care, enough food to eat, clothes on my back, like being able to do all of those things. And so then I would just suggest that they consider, right, that that's what's going on in the mind of a person who finds themselves unexpectedly pregnant, is, can I provide those things for this potential human? I am not trying to say that I think that John 10:10 is talking about abortion. I don't think it is. I think that that's the closest that we come to in the entire Christian Bible and the Hebrew Bible, Newer Testament, to acknowledging the life situation of a person facing this question. I've gone over on this video. Sorry about that. It's an important topic, and what I'm hoping I've done is offered insight into what the Bible does and does not say on this topic, as well as a potential new way to reframe the way you think about this topic and the advice you might seek from the Bible on it. I hope that's what I've done. It's meant to be some food for thought. Next week's topic, are humans meant to be omnivores? Stay tuned.